ladies and gents. Welcome to episode number 7 of Your Buddy John Show. Hi, John Mueller here. Well, we're midway through June, and looks like some brighter skies are ahead, hopefully. Hey, we're going to talk Ritchie Valens today. Who better to do that than Connie Valens, one of his sisters. We met her and Irma, his other sister, quite a few years ago during one of our winter dance party shows, and it's been a pleasure ever since. The whole family's been great at keeping the legacy alive. You've got Mario Ramirez with his Backyard Blues Band. He's Ritchie's brother. And you've also got Ernie Valens, Ritchie's cousin. Great people that I've all met and worked with. And we're going to talk exclusively with Connie today to see what's going on with Ritchie's legacy and how it's being kept alive and what it was like growing up with him when she was a little girl. So, without any further ado, please welcome rock and roll royalty, Connie Valens. Hey, Connie, so great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on today. Looking forward to it.
Well, thanks, John. It's always a pleasure to chat with you and kind of, reconnect. And it's been a while for us.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other in a few years, and I miss seeing you guys. And I was thinking about this last night that, I've never really sat down with you and had a heart-to-heart talk about Ritchie and stuff. And this is really great for me because Ritchie has meant a lot in my life as well. I mean, I remember I was a young man about, I would say I was like 25 or so, and I found this, I'm going to date myself here, but I found a cassette, and it was from Rhino Records, and it was called The Best of Ritchie Valens. And that cassette, Connie, just really blew me away. I didn't realize, I just thought Ritchie as being, La Bamba and Come On, Let's Go and Donna. But I listened to these other songs on the cassette, and his voice and his guitar playing and his just the feel of these songs, some of which I'd never, ever heard before, blew me away, literally. I'm not saying that just to blow smoke at you. It really blew me away. I really, really was impressed and became a lifelong fan from that point on.
Yeah, sometimes I'll listen to a CD myself and the tenderness in some of the songs. I mean, it's like he's right here.
Yes.
And then you got the rockers, and that just picks you up. And then you got the instrumentals. I mean, Ritchie, a lot of people have never heard some of Ritchie's instrumentals, and they're crazy, like Malagueña and, Ritchie's blues and a lot of songs. I mean, Ritchie wasn't, a 3-hit wonder.
No.
I mean, his catalog wasn't huge. He was only 17.
Yeah.
But it was powerful.
Very powerful.
It showed his talent in so many, and all the sides of that, the gentleness, the rockin', the La Bamba, Mama always loved, as you know, We Belong Together. That was kind of our family anthem. And at Mama's service, that's what we kind of closed it off with.
Wow.
Yeah, so lots of wonderful memories behind the music, that's for sure.
Well, it's a lasting legacy. I mean, it's influenced countless people. I spoke to Chris Montez. I think that was my episode number 2, and he said a really cool thing about Ritchie, which was you can hear that in his music, the sincerity and what a nice person he was. I guess Chris saw him in Southern California. And was standing at the back of the auditorium that it was at.
He was living in Hawthorne. I had that same conversation. You go ahead.
Yeah. And he's like, he was so happy to be there because, Ritchie was he was so impressed by him. But then he finds himself standing right next to Ritchie. and Ritchie was just like a normal guy next to him. He started talking to him. And Chris said that from that day on, he says, well, if I make it in the show business, I'm going to behave like Ritchie did, where he was really nice to people. And I just was really thought that was a really neat story.
Yeah, it really is. He told me pretty much verbatim the same thing. He goes, I got there a little late, so I was kind of standing in the back of the room, but he goes, man, I was just going to be happy just to hear him sing, even if it was just 2 songs.
Yeah.
He said he felt somebody standing there, and he looked over. He said he was shocked. He couldn't even talk for the first few minutes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. He goes, he finally got out, I want to be a singer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he went on to tell me, because I said, well, yeah, I kind of looked you up, Chris, and I found some information that, you didn't really get started until 62. He goes, yeah, when I went and met Ritchie, he goes, I was a sophomore in high school, because I would have been October, I think he said, of 58.
Yeah.
And he goes, and when I went to get my first guitar, they were showing me all the guitars, and he goes, and I wanted the Sunburst, I believe it is, Fender. He goes, just like Ritchie had, and he said he still had it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what he wanted. That was his first guitar, and he wanted one just like Ritchie had.
That's neat. That's really neat.
Chris has been out there, since 62, and for him to hold that memory so dear,
yeah,
and share it so freely with still so much awe.
Yes,
it just blows you away.
It really does. It really touched me when he said that story, because I don't know, it was something about, I kind of feel like all three of those guys that perished, Buddy Holly, Ritchie, and Big Bopper, they all seem to have that kind of overall, sincere gentleman type of quality, and I think that's what attracted me to that whole legacy. Was just, I was like, so much rock and roll later on in the 60s and 70s, and even now is about excess, and it became about
upping. Upping their game and trying to be better. Tommy Alsop. You knew Tommy well.
Oh yeah,
I did.
Great guy.
He said that's what he loved about Mario, that Mario was the real deal.
Yes.
He goes, and you're the real deal like your brother. He goes, back then, we musicians would sit, all of us, and like it's depicted in La Bamba, you'd have Eddie Cochran.
Yeah.
You'd have Chuck Berry. You'd have Ritchie Valens. You have all these guys, they're all selling records all in one room, just waiting to go on to do 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't just be sitting there, polishing their shoes or looking at each other up and down.
Checking their social media.
Back there,
yeah,
teaching each other licks.
Yeah. I know.
They'd be back there saying, well, how did that last set sound? Hey, well, you need to go up here or go down. They'd be back there coaching each other. They didn't take voice lessons and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for music lessons and videos. They were back there doing it all on their own.
Yeah. And they had to record with, no pitch correction and all the stuff that the artists have today at their hand. They just kind of just got that raw feeling on tape.
It was
so good.
Raw, baby.
Yeah, it was great. So Ritchie was born in Pacoima, California on May 13th, 19...
No, he wasn't born in Pacoima.
Oh, he wasn't?
He was born at the General Hospital in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
he kind of grew up. I mean, he grew up in a little bit in Long Beach and in the San Fernando Valley, kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
But, when he passed away, that's where he had bought the house for Mama in Pacoima.
Ah, okay. And Mama was Concha Reyes, is that correct?
Yeah, her name was Concepcion. I was named after her. And then her family, how are you going to go around calling somebody, hey, Concepcion? So she became Concha.
Yeah, I love it. That's nice.
Yeah, and I was Conchita.
Oh, Conchita. I love it.
Yeah.
And just see, there was an older brother, Bob Morales, who we unfortunately lost a few years ago now already. It's been...
Yeah, I know. It'll be 3 years this September.
Wow. I miss him. He was a fun guy to talk to. And
he was an icon.
Yeah.
La Bamba Bob.
La Bamba Bob.
La Bamba Bob.
And then, of course, your sister Irma and Mario as well.
Yeah.
Your brother Mario. So what... I have noted here that you had a little bit of a challenging relationship with your mom. What was that all about?
When two people are so much alike, it's hard to get along because you're just so much alike. And she was, I was unlike my diva sister. Yeah, somebody goes, well, you must be the diva. I go, oh, no, that's Irma. Don't you call me the diva. She'll get mad. Yeah, but, I was always more timid and more in the background. And Mama was very vocal, and I knew my place. I had nothing but the most respect for Mama, and I didn't talk back, not like my sister. And I just did was pretty much what I was told. And I mean, hey, all of us are challenging as teenagers for a bit,
yeah.
But as we grew older, and I kind of grew into myself, and it was just challenging to just. But Mom, I thought it would be better this way, but no, you got to do it this way. And
Sure.
when we're young like that, we don't always see the wisdom that they're trying to, pass along to us because from life experience.
Sure.
So, it was challenging, and she'd pull some stuff on me. But, talking to Donna, she once told me that. She goes, of all your brothers and sisters, she goes, you really are the most like Ritchie.
Wow.
She goes, just your spirit. And I looked at her and I was like, really? Because, she knew him.
Yeah.
And nobody had ever told me that before. So it really touched me. And I don't know, it just made me feel, it just gave me that much more desire and passion to see Ritchie's legacy.
Sure.
Continue and do whatever I had to do, like on the set of La Bamba.
Yeah.
I was a stand-in
Were
in
you
the middle
really?
of the night when there was nobody else there for Rosanna.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or even for Elizabeth Pena. There's a scene, not trying to get too ahead of you, but there's a scene where Bob and Elizabeth are laying under the tree in the dark. Well, I got to lay there first. And this is like 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, right?
Right.
Laying in the bushes out there.
Hey, you're a movie star now. You're a movie star.
Oh yeah, people that ask us, how was it to be in the film? I go, what, with the dust of the fields on our faces for makeup?
Yeah. Oh man. So what are some of your earliest memories of? I know you were a very young girl at the time. Ritchie was a teenager, but what do you have any special memories of that era?
Mama was just trying to keep a roof over our head.
Sure.
And Ritchie was in high school, and we had different people coming over during the week while he was in school to watch over us while Mama was working, and on the weekends or during the summer, Ritchie would take care of us.
Yeah.
Because he was home. And Mama usually used to have an early shift, so she was home by 3, and then he could go practice and stuff. But, it can get hot in that San Fernando Valley. And as
it sure does.
in the movie, we didn't have any air conditioning. We didn't have a fan.
Wow.
And so he'd take us out back, and just like we said, that was Irma and mine and Irma's story about sitting in the backyard under the big eucalyptus tree with Ritchie, because it was cool back there with a little breeze, and Ritchie would, have his guitar, and he'd sing songs to us. And like I said, Mama worked the early shift, so she'd leave, cooked beans on the stove and make sure there was eggs there, and she'd make the dough for the tortillas, and she'd make all the little balls for it. And Ritchie and Bob would stand me up on a chair because they didn't want to roll them out, so I'd roll them out, and they'd be all these crazy, shapes, and they'd be holding them up like, oh, this one looks like a fish, and I actually remember that. And so Ritchie would take them off the counter and throw them on the grill, and Bob would cook them, And like I said, my sister would bite me, and I'd go screaming to Ritchie, and he'd look at me and say, "Did you do this to your sister?" And she'd shake her head, and he'd say, "Bite yourself." So she'd say, "No." He goes, "No, I want to see you bite yourself." So she'd bite herself. Then he'd compare the imprints.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and he goes, "No, you bit her. You go get in that corner." Yeah, she'd lie. Yeah, no, a lot of people don't know this, but He wasn't only our brother. He was also our father figure.
Oh, yeah.
He really was. Very, very much so. And, growing up, my mom was a single parent, and Richie was always good to us. I mean, he was always nice to us. He took care of us, not like Bob. He'd come over and rip out the monster magazines and chase us around the house,
I could see him doing that.
Yeah, he's terrible. And he goes, "Hey, leave the girls alone or get out of here," Yeah.
Where did Ritchie get that classic, I believe it was a Harmony brand guitar, the one that he painted green? Where did that come from? How did that come about?
Mama said that they had found that in a pawn shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they bought that in a pawn shop. And, back in the day, they were issued in that kind of goldy bronze color and black, I believe.
Yeah.
And Richie didn't like it.
Didn't like the color.
So the store, he didn't like, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have said that. Thank you. He didn't like the color. So he took it to shop, and then I've heard a couple of stories, and he painted it red, I guess, and he brought it home, and Bob didn't like it. So he goes, "I'll take it back," and then he repainted it that green that I guess was so popular back then in 57, 58.
Yeah.
And Pat Wartink, Pat.
Oh, yeah.
He said when he went to kind of clean it up and restore it a little bit, he did find both the colors on there.
Wow.
But what was more interesting than that was, I guess the guitar wasn't quite dry, and Richie needed it for a gig that night. So he had to restring it, yeah. And he found 2 thumbprints on there. He found a thumbprint.
Oh, wow.
Like up by the neck.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Harmony reissued that guitar for a couple of years.
They did.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You remember, Charlie.
Yeah.
Actually, it was my first time to NAMM.
Is that right?
And wow, that was cool. It was in Anaheim.
Yes.
Mario and I were there. And he relaunched all those, that Rocket Harmony, had a Rocket, and he relaunched all of those. And I remember that day. This was a total surprise to me. We were in the booth, and Pat shows up, Pat Wartink, and he has a case. And I'm like, what is he doing here? And then I noticed that he unpacked a picture of Ritchie holding the Harmony, and I thought, oh, no. Now, you have to remember this. I hadn't seen that guitar since I was a child.
Wow.
He pulls that guitar out. I couldn't even talk.
You're just emotional, yeah.
Oh, I couldn't even talk. And they were going to do a photo shoot. They were going to take pictures, and they had all the cameras there. Talk about keeping your act together. And they were saying, do you want to hold this? How am I supposed to say no?
Right.
And I just remember how hard it was for me just to even look at it. And, when I've been around something that belongs to Ritchie that I know, even if I didn't know, there's always this sense I get. It's like this, for a better word, a vibe.
Sure.
And it was like the first time I walked into the surf. And I can't even explain it. It's almost like this electricity.
Yeah.
And I tremble. And I had to really just, keep it together. And as soon as the pictures were taken, holding the guitar, I went to the furthest corner of our booth, and tears just streaming down my face, holding his guitar.
Wow.
And, I remember when Pat came up to the show. Remember when we did the Winter Dance Party, and Pat Wartink kind of came in late?
Yes.
To the pre-party there at that grill place we used to go to.
Right.
Good times, huh?
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
Jay and Ray and
yeah, good times.
Yeah. Well, Pat called me out, and he said he had something to give me. And he opened up his wallet, and he gave me one of Ritchie's guitar picks.
Oh, wow.
And I had that same sensation.
Sure.
And I have that guitar pick. It sits in my safe deposit box. But I knew it was Ritchie's. He goes, "I want to give you this." He goes, "I got this from Ernestine, I forget how many years ago, and but I want you to have it."
That's so nice.
And yeah, and it was the same thing. I knew it was Ritchie's. I just knew it. And there's nothing like, imagine being 8 years old and never seeing any of his stuff again.
Right.
And over the years, things come up for auction, or Pat was kind of the caretaker of the guitar, and then that pops up.
Wow.
It's just a piece of time that is restored to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's jump to how he got noticed. Was he playing in like high school functions?
Well, you know Gil Rocha. He started playing with the Silhouettes.
Yeah.
And they used to play around town, and I guess the story goes from what Bob Keane said. He was doing some printing or something, and he had some stuff to take into the valley. One of his little delivery guys, and he'd heard of Ritchie, and he came back and told Bob Keane about Ritchie, and that where he was going to be doing his next gig. And Bob Keane said he went to listen to Ritchie, and he couldn't believe it.
Wow.
But yeah, like it shows depicts in the Bamba. Mama did really put her rent out to rent that American Legion Hall in San Fernando. That's
Is that
all
right?
true. And
that's true. Wow.
Yeah, that's all true.
Wow.
Yeah, now if there was a fight or not, Bobby never said there wasn't, so there probably was.
Right.
But when that stuff's going on, I don't know. It's just not like me to ask, did that really happen?
Right.
But sometimes they use that for some what did they say?
Dramatic effect.
Kind of dramatize. Dramatic effect. Thank you.
Yeah, that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood for you, for sure.
That's Hollywood. That's
well,
for sure.
Was the relationship with Bob Keane that kind of soured? Am I wrong in saying that? I mean, did he kind of financially, like a lot of artists back then, were kind of taken advantage of, shall we say, politely? I guess is that am I hitting the right direction there?
Well, absolutely. Mama never forgave herself. She never did. It was just really hard for her. Richie was only 17, and he was, going to New York.
Right.
He was in Hawaii. He was in Canada. So she had actually signed, a legal document making Bob Keane his guardian.
Wow.
Yes. And Bob was pretty good about always being there, on these trips, keeping an eye on Ritchie. But when this came up, the winter dance party came up. It all kind of happened very suddenly, and there wasn't a lot of time. And I guess the story goes, Bob reached out to this man that was supposed to accompany Ritchie, but after the first few shows, that guy was gone.
Oh, wow.
Which left Ritchie on his own. And Bob Keane didn't even find out about that right away. And then when he did, he told them, I'm fine. All the guys are taking care of me. We take care of each other.
Wow.
Kind of thing. And it's been cold and, kind of, as the story goes, as they say. And, he should have never been there alone.
Yeah, 17 years old.
Yeah. I mean, what do you... what do you know at 17?
Hey, nothing.
I know what you think you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had a magnet on my refrigerator. You can't scare me. I've raised teenagers. Yeah.
That's funny.
So, Mama just never really, and he felt that my mom had never forgiven him for that.
Right.
And then on top of that, he passes away. And then it's like, well, where's everything? I don't have anything. I spend all that money on him, and whatever I'm getting, I was just going to barely make up for all the money I invested in him.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
So did Bob have with that legal guardianship, did he also kind of access the rights to publishing rights to Ritchie's music too? I mean, how did that all?
Well, that legal guardianship was only in the traveling situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he told Bob one time when they met at a very public location that he owned Ritchie for perpetuity. And when he got sick, he was, I believe he passed from cancer.
Yeah.
He had sold most of the rights to Warner. So he was selling. I have a friend who's a collector, and he had reached out to him and actually bought the Ampex, or I forget what this recorder that they used in La Bamba.
Yeah, the Ampex tape machine.
The wheel. Yes. That was Ritchie's actual. That belonged to Bob Keane.
Wow.
Before my friend bought it. That was actually what Ritchie was recording on. And so my friend was able to buy that along with a lot of the reel-to-reels.
Sure.
And as he was listening to the reel-to-reels, they thought Chan's music, Chan Romero.
Sure.
The Hippie Hippie Shake.
Yeah.
He couldn't. Chan always asked him, "Where are my original recordings?" Bob said he didn't know, that they were lost. They found them on They found some of those original recordings on those reels.
Wow.
But they would record to maybe halfway, stop, and then record somebody else on the other part and never label it.
Yeah, God, what a mess.
Thank you. And the only reason I know that is because my friend Anthony told me that that's what he found. So he reached out to Chan, and I guess they were able to make it right.
Wow. What a find, to find those tapes like that. And
can you believe that? Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's amazing. Hippie Hippie Shake.
Yeah, great song. Is the song rights today, or has that been ironed out? I mean, is that or is it still with Warner, or how does that pan out today?
Sony administers the rights.
Sony does now. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Sony does. And when they did La Bamba, they were looking for so many different people are involved, and Columbia ended up doing the film.
Yeah.
But then Columbia was bought out by Sony. And so they pretty much think they own Ritchie. Yeah.
Well, they don't. You guys do.
Well, that's the way I'd like to think. In fact, we wanted to do a show. We had Eastside Morales come out for La Bamba. La Bamba celebrating 25 years, and it was a great show. It was all very focused on the community, and it was a fundraiser for schools there in our area. And I wanted to use a likeness, kind of in a hologram image,
sure,
with Lou in it. And T-shirts were amazing. And I was only going to do, I don't know, I think it was like 10 or 12 dozen, because you never sell that many, but I just thought it would be a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
You don't want to know the hoops that Sony made me jump through.
Really?
They were going to be charging me, I don't know, I think it was like $35,000 by the time of all the licenses. And I go, this is his family.
Yeah.
This is a program for save the music in our local schools. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
But I was relentless. I was tenacious. At the 11th hour, we had two designs, the one we wanted with Lou. I got a call at 7:00 in the morning, and they said, print your T-shirt. We're sending a contract. We need you to sign it and return it. And I said, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. And we printed our shirts.
Good for you.
And 3 months later, I got the contract.
3 months later.
3 months later, I got the
Unbelievable.
contract. And I signed it and sent it to him. By that time, it was all said and done.
That's crazy. You think,
but I was able to reach somebody that had a heart and that cared.
Yeah.
This was Ritchie's. I'm his sister.
Yeah.
This is for our school. Somebody actually, had a heart and they cared. So for that, I'll be forever thankful.
Right, but look at how long it took you to get to that person, right?
Oh, I know it did. It was like jumping through. Yeah. But I kept calling. Well, can I talk to somebody else? Well, can I talk to somebody else?
Yeah. We did some kind of, was it the recreation center or his high school? We did something a few years ago. I think it was on his birthday. It was me and Ernie and, oh gosh, quite a few people right there.
It was a sock cup we tried to do there to raise money for their music program too.
Yeah.
And you so graciously came out, and Mario was there.
Mario, that's
he was
right.
in the
Yeah.
auditorium there. Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm like, I kept telling them, you guys really got to, create a buzz about this, because you can't give a birthday party and not send out invitations.
Exactly. Yeah. They were a little lax on the, getting the word out for sure.
But you live and learn.
Yeah.
And we had even the alley cats. I mean, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
They travel all over the world, and I had gotten them to come in and do 2 assemblies. So, and that theater held, I'm sure, at least 1,000 students. And we did 2 assemblies with the Alley Cats, just trying to not only promote the music, but to inspire the students. Look at these guys started doing, they don't even have instruments. This is a cappella. You guys can do something.
Yeah.
And in part of their program was talking about, education and music and continuing with that and not giving up and staying in school and all those good things.
Yeah.
And if we would have had 5% of the kids show up, it would have been okay. And in fact, the students were free when they paid for their parents, and then all that money would just go back to the school.
Yeah.
And it was just very disappointing, but the show goes on.
Yeah.
And everybody did a great job.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes it's hard to, for an event, it's really difficult on a one night event or something to get people to come out. Sometimes it's just, there's so many distractions, especially a city like Los Angeles where there's just so much going on. It's just really difficult.
Well, this was San Fernando High School.
Yeah.
You thought that, just because Ritchie went there, they would have been curious to want to come out and see Mario perform.
Yeah.
See you perform, But like I said, we live and learn, and you do what you can, and you do your best when you're doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Ritchie opened a lot of doors for future rockers like Los Lobos. And a lot of people don't know that their only number 1 hit was La Bamba from the movie, right?
You think? Yeah.
So, how influential was that? And
I've talked to Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
And, he has always talked about Ritchie.
Yeah.
And when he got a Latin Grammy, I think it was for a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I'm sitting at home watching the Latin Grammys, and Carlos on the stage talking about my brother with Ritchie's big old smiley face and a big old picture plastered behind him.
No kidding. That's cool.
Yeah, and guess who he brought on the stage with him that evening? Those Lonely Boys who were just starting up.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this was the Latin Grammys.
That's cool.
And guess what song they closed that show with?
La Bamba?
Duh. Carlos on La Bamba with Los Lonely Boys. Really?
Oh,
Latin
that's
Grammys?
awesome. I gotta check that out on YouTube. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, it was. And then Rita calls me because I had moved. She goes, girl, we couldn't find you. Carlos wanted the family there. And I said, Rita, I called the people and they told me that they didn't think that there was going to be any tribute to Ritchie for that show. She goes, well, you should have called me. And I go, I should have, but I didn't think to.
Right.
So a missed opportunity. But, Carlos did an awesome job. And I mean, who can say it better, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's so cool.
Yeah, one of his favorites, Carlos and I, we have this bond. It's pretty amazing. And when we see each other, it's just there. He goes, how have you been? And he gives me a big hug. And he's just, wow, how do you even describe him?
He's a very spiritual guy.
There's an aura about him.
Yeah.
And I don't even use that word, but he's just so gentle and so sensitive and just so real. I mean, I just adore him. And he had talked to me about one of his favorite Ritchie songs. And it's In a Turkish Town.
Oh, neat. I love that song too.
And I said, Carlos, can you imagine the guitar riffs on your guitar on that song? And he smiled and goes, yeah.
Yeah, I've already tried that, Connie, many times.
Yeah, he smiles and goes, yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool.
So, yeah, but Los Lobos, even Bruno Mars.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I could see that.
Yeah, his first CD, I think he even has an acknowledgement to Ritchie on the cover.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
very
so
cool.
many artists. People will never meet, people will never hear about. I mean, I remember when somebody told me that Ritchie was one of the first surf guitarists.
Oh, wow. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and with "Ooh My Head," and that was the surf guitar sound.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I had never known that, and then of course the rockabilly influence in his music.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can hear that for sure.
So, and then you throw in La Bamba, and it's like a full catalog.
Absolutely. Wasn't it Led Zeppelin that kind of stole the "Ooh My Head"
Boogie
beat?
with Stu.
Yeah, Boogie with Stu, and they got
Yeah,
rightfully sued for that. And
they sure did.
yeah,
They sure did. Yeah, that was when you couldn't do it. Now they're called parodies.
Oh, geez.
And he wrote most of his songs. A lot of people don't realize that he wrote most of his songs.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't know. In the 50s, a lot of artists were encouraged not to write their songs. The studios wanted to bring in their own set of what they called trusted songwriters that they would use and implore on the artists. But like Buddy Holly and Ritchie, they kind of broke that trend by writing their own songs, which is really cool.
Yeah, they were truly ahead of their time. They truly were.
Were you at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction? Was that 2001?
2001 in New York City. Yep.
Were you there for that?
I was. In fact, oh yeah, what's his name? Ricky Martin was the presenter.
Yeah.
And Mario was like, well, why couldn't they get Los Lobos? I go, because this is, Mario, this is like huge.
This is who's current
and
now. Yeah.
At the time, Ricky Martin
was huge.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he was the presenter, and I thought he did fine. He did La Bamba a lot better than he did Come On, Let's Go. Yeah, and he even admitted, he goes, oh, I'm sorry about that, folks, but yeah, this is more my style, right?
Right.
And I actually I gave the acceptance speech for that evening. Bob spoke, Mario spoke, all of us spoke, but I gave the acceptance speech on behalf of our family that night.
Oh,
it was
nice.
pretty powerful.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, well, Ritchie was so young. And I said, yes. And we, his family, he has lived his life through us.
Yeah.
Because, I won't let people forget, but I don't even have to do anything. I mean, just think the radio stations, the DJs that still play the music. And now it's on Spotify, and it was iTunes and Apple Music.
Yeah.
And somebody called and said, do you know La Bamba's on Netflix? And I said, no, yeah, they put it on last fall. We've been watching it. Yeah.
That's great.
And it's just generation after generation. It's multiple generations.
Absolutely.
I mean, La Bamba was out in 87.
Wow.
Over 30 years ago.
Isn't that amazing? It seems like it was like 10 years ago or something, but it was over 30 years ago. Wow.
And on our comment page on our website, I get comments almost every day about, I love Ritchie's music. I'm a big fan. Sometimes they ask questions, or they just make a lot of comments. I've never been the same. We lived on Donna Street. Crazy stuff, but people just, I'm just thankful that they refuse to let go of a period of time when music was pure.
Yes.
And you felt it when they played it.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, you felt that sincerity come through, and it's so, I don't know, it's so intimate, Connie. It's just like it grabs you. It just really grabs you. How cool was it that they, here in Los Angeles, they designated a section of the highway called Ritchie Valens Memorial Highway? How did that make you feel when you saw that?
I was like, boy, what will they think of next? And then guess what? They one-upped it. The family was supposed to be in California in April for the renaming dedication of the post office in Pacoima, the Ritchie Valens Memorial Post Office.
Wow.
You didn't hear that, and you lived down the street almost?
I did not even hear about that. No, that's really cool.
And Ritchie does have a stamp.
Yeah. Can you ever imagine that to get on a stamp is not an easy thing, you know?
No, actually, it was a series. And guess who the MC for that afternoon was?
I don't know.
Dick Clark.
Oh,
Dick Clark.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to meet him. It was pretty special.
Was Ritchie on the American Bandstand show?
Yes.
Yes, I thought
he
so.
He knew Dick Clark. And
wow.
Dick Clark when he spoke about Ritchie, he actually got emotional.
I bet.
Just before the unveiling. And I'm standing next to his publicist who had been with him for over 30 years. And he goes, Connie, I've been with Dick a long time. He goes, and I can count the number of times he's gotten emotional on one hand. Your brother was very special to him.
Wow. That's really neat.
That's what his publicist said to me.
Wow.
And I actually had a nice little conversation with him. And I said, what do you remember about him? And he goes, Connie, for me to stand here and try to pull a story out, all these years later. He goes, but I will tell you this, that he never forgot who he was. He was very polite. He was kind of shy, kind of timid.
Yeah.
And he was a real deal.
Absolutely.
He was very respectful, but he liked to laugh. He liked to laugh, And he had held very fond memories of Ritchie, and he even said that he still had a gold record of Ritchie's that was given to him in his office.
Very cool.
Of Ritchie's. I mean, can you imagine how many gold records he's been offered? But he had Ritchie's in his office. That's
so cool. That's really cool. Were you guys able to, I know Ritchie did that, was it one movie, Go Johnny Go? Were you guys actually, when was that movie released?
No, it was one of those things that we knew about, but it wasn't released until after his death.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah.
And we went to the drive-in theater to see it.
Wow.
Right there on Laurel Canyon in Pacoima. You know where the Ritchie Valens Memorial Park is?
Yes.
Right there on Pax. Okay, that's where the drive-in was. It was all in there. And that's why I think it used to be called Paxton Park, but they renamed it, and that's where we went to go see Go Johnny Go.
Gosh, that had to have been hard for you to see that if it came out after he had passed, right?
Well, it was very hard to see Mama react to it.
Yeah.
It was really hard. We would all, when we lost Ritchie, Mama she was a very strong woman, but she always cried on February 3rd and on his birthday.
Yeah.
Those days we tiptoed around the house.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine. She died around the same time the movie came out. Is that right?
Oh, my goodness. You don't even want to know, John. The movie was released, I think it was like July 20th of 87, and she passed away on October 18th of that year, and it was on my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Was she able to actually see the movie then?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Actually, Taylor had offered to bring the movie to her hospital room. She goes, nope. You're not going to do that, Taylor. I won't let you. She goes, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of this hospital, and I'm going to come and see my son's movie.
Wow.
And she did, and they did a special screening at NBC Studios on the lot there in one of their little screening rooms.
Yeah.
The first screening was just immediate family. Me and my kids, just us.
Yeah.
And then some of the Luis Valdez and Daniel and Taylor Hackford, and some of those people were there. And the kids were running around all over this place, during the movie, since it was just family. And we don't have to tell you about how difficult the end was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really hard. Mama just sat there very stoic, very stoic. And she was sitting, Irma and I had sat her between us. And I looked at Mom and I reached for her hand. I go, Mom, it's okay to cry. It's okay, Mom.
Absolutely.
We all feel the same way. And Irma started bawling, and I had been holding it. And, we were just all sobbing. And Taylor Hackford said, this is supposed to be a celebration, ladies. We got champagne. So they popped the champagne. And about 20 minutes later, they opened up the theater to the family. There was about 200 people there that day.
Wow.
For the second screening. Wow. Well, Bob's family was almost 200 people.
Is that right? That's funny.
By the time you counted kids and grandkids, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but but those are just such special times. So many memories being on the set.
Yeah.
That first screening, Bob, Irma, and I going to the Seattle Film Festival, where it was screened, being in New York City for his induction, living it for him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Living it for him. And he was there every single time.
Yeah. You could feel his spirit.
He was there yeah. Absolutely, and that's why the people love the surf so much. I don't got to tell you about that place.
Yeah.
No, it's a very special place, and I love it for many reasons. Met lots of wonderful people there, people who have become like family to me here in the Midwest. And at first they used to stop and talk to me. Now they just kind of look at me and acknowledge me, and I'll just kind of give them a little wave if I'm in Walmart or Ace or walking around town. Somebody that I didn't know very well came up and said, "Man, you're a legend here." I looked at him like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, everybody knows who you are. You're a legend." And I look at him, I go, "No, my brother was a legend. I'm just his sister."
But you've done a great job of, all of you, Irma and Mario and Ernie, of course, Bob. You guys have all done a great job of keeping Ritchie's legacy alive. RitchieValens.com. I encourage my listeners to go there and find out more about Ritchie's legacy and all kinds of great stuff there. His music you can purchase and books about him and just find out what's going on latest because there's always, you said earlier, like what could possibly be next, but it seems like there's always some other special thing that happens regarding his legacy, whether it's being, a post office named after him or stamps or whatever. There's just the legacy continues, and I'm just thrilled about that.
Yeah, and we work with C3 as you do, and they just do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I was so happy to get you guys hooked up with them because I really felt, Well,
you're one of the reasons we did get hooked up with them, because I knew when you told me that, I knew you would not be involved with anybody unless you knew who they truly were. And everything you said was absolutely spot on. I just adore all of them. In fact, I've been to the offices there and met them.
It's a cool place.
Yeah, they're all just great people.
C3, for listeners that don't know, was actually started by the Three Stooges heirs, and it was actually a company started a long time ago. So
Comedy 3.
Yeah, they represent a lot of legends and just a great group of people over there. And did they get you connected with this Rocket Fizz soda company that has their own?
They did. Rocket Fizz and Suavecito and
that's so great.
The hair pomade and Ritchie has slot machines and
that's great.
Yeah, they're always coming up with something cool.
That's so
something
cool.
really cool.
That's very cool. Look, is there anything, Connie, I haven't touched on that you would like to mention? Or
well, yeah, there is actually. John, we used to hear, different people do Ritchie and try to do tribute shows.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until we saw the Winter Dance Party and the phenomenal, not only your role as Buddy, because that is just, wow. I mean, it's like watching Buddy. You are
thanks.
just phenomenal with, your appearance, how you get into it with the songs and the dancing. And then, you got Ray Anthony as Ritchie. And then for a while we had JP,
Yeah.
the Bopper's son. How much better does it get? And then the musicians you have.
Yeah.
Really it doesn't get any better.
Thanks.
And Irma's daughter has seen concerts, I think, including the Rolling Stones, all over the place, country. And she said that was the best show she'd ever seen.
Wow.
And she's a what are they, Gen Xers?
Yeah,
She'll
right.
be 40 or just turned 40. Yeah. And she's a Gen Xer.
That's so cool.
And she graduated from San Diego State.
Wow.
And for her to say that, I looked at her like, you're right about that, Gloria. You're absolutely right. She was in tears.
Wow.
The first time she saw you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. For somebody of that generation to make that kind of statement is huge.
It's very huge.
But you see, I already knew all that because I too had I've seen a lot of people, and you guys are just really hard to beat. And I just want to thank you and all the other bands out there that just pour their heart into this era, into the music, to keep it vibrant, to keep it alive. And the fans that go to your sold out shows.
Yeah, they're great. They're the best anywhere. And, Connie, the secret is Ritchie's music and Buddy's music and the Big Bopper's music. If you have any respect for it and you're playing it and singing it, you can't help but, put it out there in an energetic way and hopefully an honest way. And it's the music that they created that keeps us going, really. I mean, I get asked a lot of times, aren't you guys tired of singing the same songs all the time? And I say no, because I see the joy it brings on people's faces when we're doing it, even though sometimes we have fans that have seen our show 12, 16 times or whatever. And they get into it every time. And so do we. It's just...
yeah, well, I remember you were just about to have some knee surgery.
Yeah, I remember
and you
that.
said you didn't know how you were going to get through the show, and nobody would have known.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known unless you told me.
Oh, wow. That's good. I faked it pretty good then.
Yeah, you did. And I think you were in pain later too.
I was very bad. I probably shouldn't have done that show, but no, that was cool.
But yeah. And it's the musicians out there that keep this generation of music viable, alive, exciting.
It's so great that you go out and hear and support live music. That's really great, Connie.
Oh no! In fact, I'm here. I try to stay active. I'm on the Performing Arts Committee at the Pearson Lakes Arts Center. We have live theater, Okoboji Summer Theater here, and actually the season was canceled the first time in God knows how long.
Right. They
just canceled the Iowa State Fair. The only other time that happened was around, I think it was like the Second World War.
Wow.
Yeah. But John, I was just going to say it's always so much fun. I feel like I just talked to you the other day,
Yeah, for sure. I
we
hope
just have a bond and a connection that I just can't even put into words.
Oh, thanks, Connie. I respect, I haven't mentioned this yet either, but the Valens family, and this is very, very important to me. The Valens family, you guys have always been so supportive of what we do. And, it's, I don't know if we could have done it without you guys, because you've really always been there for us. You always helped promote wherever we were going to be at. And sometimes, which I think you guys go way beyond the call of duty. I know Randy and Irma would show up at our Vegas shows.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys just saw us, like 4 months ago. You sure you want to see us again? And they're like, no, we enjoy it every time. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And they bring granddaughters. what's their
Yeah,
names?
Savannah and Aria.
Yeah, it's so cute to see them, and they're getting into the whole new, a whole new generation of Ritchie's music, which is great. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
thank you for all your support all these years. It's meant a lot to me, and I know Ray and Big Bopper Jr. and Jay, and of course our current crew as well.
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Linwood.
Yeah, he's
because
great.
it's so different.
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
different. Linwood, he's great.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
great.
He's a great guy.
But on a more another note, I also I'm very thankful for an opportunity that I have here every year to go up to Forrest Ridge. It's a facility for at-risk youth.
Okay.
And it's 90% girls, and sometimes they hold children and male. But they're about 12 to about 18 years old, and the system has failed with them, whether it's foster care, their parents turning them in, juvenile homelessness. And I go out there. This would have been my 5th year, but because of COVID, I didn't get to do my talk. But maybe I can do it this fall. I mean, it's not, it doesn't matter. It's just usually in the spring.
Yeah.
And I get to go talk about my brother.
Oh, that's
and
great.
How he was my father figure, and how it doesn't matter where you're born or what people say about you, or if you're heavy or tall or short or black or white or Hispanic or, Asian. None of that matters.
Yeah.
That we have to love ourselves, and we have to believe in ourselves. And I talk about growing up with Ritchie, and I talk about how Ritchie believed in him, but mostly he wanted to change his family's life. He wanted to get him out of that cycle of poverty, because poverty is where you are. Being poor is temporary.
Yeah.
Poverty is permanent. It's just a cycle. And nobody has to do that. With every opportunity that's out there, grants for school, grants for training. Who cares if you don't want to be a doctor? You can be a hairdresser. You can be a barber. You can, be a plumber. I mean, hey, those guys make bank.
They make good money.
Yeah.
Have
you ever hired an electrician?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, really. And that's what I go talk to these girls about. You have to love yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to look in the mirror and say, hey, I can do this. I'm strong enough. I'm smart enough. Don't let people tell you who you are.
Yeah.
People try to tell Ritchie who he was. Well, he wasn't tall enough, or he was from the wrong side of the tracks, or, maybe he didn't live in the fanciest house. But he didn't let any of that stop him.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's the message I give them. And little did I know that it was a no-touch facility the first time I went. I had about 40 girls lined up wanting to give me a hug.
Oh, that's so moving. That's really great, Connie.
Yeah, and the principal, Mr. Connolly Sean, Mary Kay looked at him, and I didn't know what was going on. He just nodded.
He said, it's okay.
And they let the girls hug me. And one of them even told me, you remind me of my mom.
Oh. Wow.
And Mary Kay and I are the same age. And she said, you reminded her of her mom. She goes, and she always calls me grandma. And I go, now.
Yeah.
But, to be able to reach these young women at this precipice in their life. And, they send me all these thank you cards, and we love Ritchie, and we love you, and thank you. And, it's
really
just
nice,
such
Connie.
a blessing. Yeah. And so, that's kind of how I spend some of my time here. And
Sure.
I've spoken at schools, and I arranged you've met Ryan Sheeler. He's right here from Ames. He's a professor at Iowa State. And he wrote a book called Ritchie Valens and His Guitars and Music.
It's a great
So
book. Yeah.
Iowa Rock and Roll has a beautiful new facility museum there in Arnold's Park. And we did a book signing there last fall. That went very well.
Great.
And we had some live music of course, in the back of the museum, and it was just a wonderful afternoon.
That's nice. That's really nice. I really, it's really great. incorporated yourself into the Iowa community like that, and found yet another way to have people's lives touched by Ritchie through this this facility. That's really great.
Yeah, and right now, actually, there is a Ritchie Valens exhibit going on at the museum.
Oh, great.
I loaned them a lot of my personal, memorabilia, and they filled 2 cases.
Wow.
With my things. And so if you're in the area and listening to this, it's in Arnold's Park, and it's the Iowa Rock and Roll Museum. And Arnold's Park is even better than Mayberry. We have a roller coaster, all these cool games, Ferris wheel. It's right on beautiful Westlake Okoboji. You got to visit the Nutty Bar stand, see the new roof garden. It is a sight to behold.
Nice.
The beauty mixed in with the music and the lights at night. We got a beautiful promenade now, Arnold's Park Promenade, all lit up different colors during the seasons. It's kind of a little magic place to live, and I feel very blessed to live here.
Oh, that's great. That's really cool. Very cool. Well, Connie, I love you to death, and I thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you next time in the family, and I hope it's sooner rather than later.
Yeah, me too. And eres como un hermano para mí. And I just told you you are a brother to me, and I just need you to know that.
Oh,
I love you very much. You really are.
Love you too, Connie. I appreciate it. And what a moving story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I hope listeners here are moved as well. I'm sure they will be. Thank you so much, Connie.
Well, hey, it's my pleasure as always, John. God bless and love you, okay? You take care.
You too.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, I will. Bye-bye. I love you.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
There she goes, Connie Valens, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. Please go to ritchievalens.com to find out the latest on what's happening for his legacy and see all the exciting things there. If you'd like to see where our next shows are going to be at Winter Dance Party, please go to winterdanceparty.com. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to shamefully plug my next original album coming out. You can find out more about that at johnmuellermusic.com. Well, ladies and gents, I hope you stay safe out there. Please be very, very careful and safe, and take good care. We'll see you on down the line.
Hey, buddy. We'll see you on down the line.